everyone. Happy Monday. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I am so sorry to be but a couple of minutes late because my computer is acting up. It's been a busy day. I have been basically on the phone since I woke up today, but talking about, side note, sometimes the most unexpected things happen and you get the most unexpected offers. And I think you just have to appreciate when that happens. Sometimes it throws a massive wrench in everything that you're working on, and it's still a really compelling offer. And it's always nice to feel appreciated, and it's always nice to hear from people you don't expect to hear from who want to team up on projects. Anyway, you just gotta enjoy it when that stuff happens. But guys, we've got a lot to cover today. I was a couple minutes late because I was trying to find a couple of the videos that I wanted to watch today. And yes, it was interesting news. It was interesting news. Let's just say that some people have been behaving very badly, kind of like a social club. And others have realized that those people who are behaving badly don't necessarily need to be in the positions that they're in anymore. That's all it is. That's as vague as I'm gonna be. That is as much as I'm going to say for right now. But when I will tell it, I'll tell it on the community Zoom later at 7 o'clock. Hang on one sec, guys. I just gotta get a water. I've got a whole box of it down here. 1 second. See, I don't have my stuff together because I literally have been on the phone for I don't even know, 5 hours or something straight. I'm just getting some bubbly. I'm getting some mango bubbly today to have some water. We have got a lot to discuss. And of course, we are going to discuss the most controversial thing that I think I ever discuss on this channel or anymore in general. And you know what? I'm actually really confused about why this is so controversial. We're going to discuss Dylan Mulvaney. And I got to tell you, for the amount of conservatives that I've heard from in the last day or so who swear, I don't care about Dylan Mulvaney. I don't even know why we're writing about Dylan Mulvaney. I don't know why we're talking about Dylan Mulvaney. I have gotten more comments from conservatives making sure that they are letting me know that they absolutely don't care about Dylan Mulvaney than I've ever gotten from conservatives over investigating the schools, than I've ever gotten from conservatives every time I expose a woke training that is directly impacting their children. Conservatives don't care about that stuff at all. But do you know what they are very, 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 very vocal about? How much they don't care about Dylan Mulvaney, which tells you everything. In the past couple days, I think I'm starting to get a much better sense of the moral panic that is going on the conservative right over all things trans. And if you're a conservative in the chat, and you're going to take personal offense to anything I say, a couple of things. Number one, I don't know who's watching me right now, so I am not talking to you directly as an individual. I don't know who's watching. I don't know who's not watching. If you're watching me and you feel like I'm talking directly to you as an individual, that is not grounded in reality because we have several layers between us to where I don't know who I'm talking to. So if you're about to have some feelings about my words about conservatives, number one, I would say don't take it personally because I don't know who's watching right now. Maybe no conservatives are watching right now. I have no idea. But number two, I am allowed to have an opinion. And I am allowed to discuss my experiences based on the conservatives who are vocal in my comment sections and who I see talking in other places. In the past couple of days, I have started to get a much better understanding about the type of moral panic that is going on the conservative right over all things trans than I've had before. And let me tell you what, conservatives are seeing trans people everywhere. They're seeing groomers everywhere. Every single person who dares question the conservative moral panic over gender ideology is seeing groomers everywhere, all around them. It's kind of like when the political left sees racists everywhere. It's kind of like how Robin DiAngelo says that everyone is racist and that she's literally in the room with racists at all times. It is exactly like that, except for conservatives are seeing groomers everywhere. I posted a tweet. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I probably should have pulled it up before we got started, but I didn't. I posted a tweet the other day that had nothing to do with gender ideology. It was actually a statement about creativity. I'm going to find it real quick. Hang on. I actually haven't been tweeting that much lately, shockingly, because I've had other stuff to do. What did I say? Well, that's another tweet I want to show you. We'll show you that one in a second. Where is the tweet? There it is. There it is. Hang on. Did that come up on the screen? It did. This is the tweet that I posted the other day. Conservatives seem to honestly believe that teaching children to repress their creativity and hate who they are is solid parenting. Do you know what now when I say creativity, what I mean, and I write about this in my book, Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. What I mean by creativity is that human beings are creative inherently. We are creative beings. We build things. We give value to the world. I believe there are two types of people in the world. There are creators and there are destroyers. Creators believe they have something valuable to offer the world, and so they go and build that thing, and then they say, "Hey world, hey, I've got this thing that I think you guys might like. I've got it over here. You want to come see it?" Those are creators. The reason that they can do that is because they have an internal sense of self-worth. They know that they themselves are valuable, and so they definitely have something to share with the world. The flip side of that are destroyers. Destroyers don't have that internal sense of self-worth. They don't believe they have anything valuable to offer the world. And so what destroyers do is they go around trying to destroy everything that the creators are creating because they want to pull everyone down to their level. Now we're already getting some people in the chat, and Sunglare, I'm going to have to apologize. I don't recognize you from being in my chat before, so it seems like you're new. I've never met a conservative parent that represses their kids like you describe in that tweet. Yes, you have. Bullshit. Bullshit. And the reason I say bullshit is that there are two types of mindsets. There are two types of people in the world, creators and destroyers. There are also two different types of mindsets. You can have a fixed mindset, which does not allow you to look at things creatively. It is very fixed on this is the way things should be, objective reality, process. There is a right and a wrong. There is a good and the bad. There is good against evil in the world. That's what a fixed mindset is. A flexible mindset is able to take a situation, and it could be really any situation, and look at it from multiple different angles to say, here's what's good about the situation, here's what's bad about the situation, here's up, here's down, here's different perspectives, here's different ways we could handle it. They can brainstorm creative ideas. If you have a fixed mindset, you are not going to be as inherently creative as someone with a flexible mindset. And that's just the way it goes. Conservatives, by their nature, have a fixed mindset. That means that conservatives are always going to have problems looking at things creatively. That means that conservatives might think they're creative. They might think they might color or draw or paint or sew. They might make things. They might think they're being creative, but guess what? Conservatives are always following the pattern. Conservatives are always coloring inside the lines. They're never going to go outside the lines. Conservatives are always going to make you got followed by James O'Keefe? Good for you, Murphy's Pool. Murphy's Pool moving up in the world. James O'Keefe hasn't even followed me. I got a follow from James O'Keefe and he DM'd me. I gave you a shout out and he is aware of your support. Oh, thank you, Murphy's Pool. I do appreciate that. That's pretty great. Anyway, so conservatives might think they're being creative, but they're being creative within rigid boundaries that they have created for themselves that they will never leave. They're being creative inside the box. I'm sorry, that's not creativity. And when you are teaching your kids to stay inside the box, to be compliant to what other people demand you do, you are teaching your kids to repress their creativity. And I see conservatives doing this all the time. Conservatives rip on people for dyeing their hair or having an interesting haircut. I'm sorry, dyeing your hair pink, which does not inherently mean you are part of any political party, is a creative act. Playing with the way you dress is a creative act. You don't need to cut off any body parts to play with the way you dress. You just need to experiment, play dress up, have fun. Conservatives repress their kids from doing this stuff all the time. And now conservatives are so scared of all the groomers, the groomers, the groomers, the groomers, the groomers, that they are even doubling down on it. They're making it worse. I'm sorry. And there are real groomers in the world, by the way, guys. Well, then you are weak and you need to work on your resilience. This is the other thing. I find Dylan Mulvaney's woman face offensive. I'm sorry. Where the fuck have conservatives been every time a man has played the role of a woman every other time in entertainment throughout history? Are you guys going to cancel what was it? Tom Hanks and Tootsie? You guys going to cancel that? Are you guys who else has played are you going to cancel Robin Williams for playing Mrs. Doubtfire? You guys going to cancel that? Do you find that offensive? It's all bullshit. Every fucking conservative who is saying, I just find it so offensive Dylan is playing woman face is parroting a conservative influencer talking point, and it's probably coming from Matt fucking Walsh. It's parrot Dustin Hoffman, you're right. Dustin Hoffman, canceled. Yeah, John Waters, fucking Hairspray, canceled. There was a man playing woman face in Hairspray. We gonna cancel that? Exactly. Patrick Swayze, Tu Wong Fu. We gonna cancel that now? Is that a groomer movie now? You guys see where this is going. Bosom Buddies, thank you. I knew he was in something where he played a woman. Medea, yeah. Yeah. How many things are we gonna cancel, conservatives? How many men dressing up as women are we going to cancel? Because it happens all the time in entertainment. It's happened for a really long effing time. Wesley Snipes. We're going to cancel Wesley Snipes. The Birdcage. We could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about the things that conservatives are going to cancel. Well, it's funny that you claim you've been following me, except I've never seen you in my chat before, and I know the regulars in my chat. So I don't believe you. You are lying, just like conservatives are prone to do when they're called out on their bullshit. Anyway, so I sent this tweet, which you can see has nothing to do with gender ideology at all. Nothing to do with it. Do you guys want to see what happened with this tweet? Let's show. Libs seem to think that elective mutilating surgery on a 6-year-old is solid parenting. They always call me a liberal, even though I'm a libertarian. But of course, they assume I'm a liberal. Just because conservatives object to irreversible suppression and puberty blockers and cutting off breasts and balls of adolescence, I guess. Seriously, teaching children to self-mutilate is not hatred. Turning into their family the bad guy is not self-hate. They're having all sorts of feelings. Let's look at some of the comments. Of course, they always like to play, you're painting us with a broad brush. Well, yes, conservatives, I cannot enumerate every single position that every single conservative has taken in the history of fucking Twitter. Can't do it. Let's see. Look, minors have no earthly idea who they are or what they want in life. So you're saying that kids can't be creative because minors have no earthly idea who they are? It's almost like conservatives have grooming on their minds all the time. Children can't decide what toy they want to play with. But sure, let's allow them to make grown up decisions. No one was saying that. Quite literally, conservatives are responding to something that let me just really make sure I'm putting a fine point on why this is crazy. Conservatives have made up something in their heads about what this tweet says that has nothing to do with what it actually says. No one has said gender ideology. No one has said anything about trans. No one has said anything about that. But because conservatives, in this moral panic, have convinced themselves that everything is about transitioning their kids. Everything is about groomers. There are groomers everywhere. Everywhere we turn, someone's trying to cut off our kids' body parts. They've convinced themselves that this is true, and they were responding to what they believe the tweet says rather than what it actually says and what it actually means. And there is a whole slew of these responses. A whole slew. Oh, I got ratioed. Oh, well, thank you for ratioing me because you proved me correct. Okay, I got called a groomer for that tweet. You want to tell me that conservatives aren't overusing the term groomer? I got called a groomer for saying conservatives are repressing creativity in their kids. And guys, there is no whining allowed in my chat. The next time you whine in my chat, you will be banned. No whining. There are 2 rules in my chat, guys. Number 1, you don't insult me. You don't insult other people in the chat. I can insult whoever the F I want because this is my house. And if you don't like it, you can leave. But you will not insult me. You will not insult other people in my chat. Number 2, there is no whining in my chat. If you whine at me at any point saying, I'm not doing that, doing what conservatives typically do, then I'm going to block you because I don't want to hear it. I don't care. Facts don't care about your feelings, conservatives. Let's see. Authentic selves don't need breast binding. Just because they want boys don't want to play with their sisters' toys. They have come up with every single fucking excuse they can to bring this back to grooming. If I don't let my 6-year-old get life-altering drugs because she felt like a boy last week. Literally, no one has said anything to these effect. But conservatives are so preoccupied with grooming that they see it everywhere. And I could keep going and going and going. I've blocked countless people. And that was what that was for, by the way. For the uninitiated, I sent the tweet so that I could figure out who the NPCs are who are following me so I could block their asses and clean up my feed. I do that all the time. Bye! Don't let the door hit you! Goodbye! Passive aggressive bullshit, man. Passive aggressive bullshit. So I bring this up because the reason that I've been on this bender is that I think that what conservatives are doing in regards to Dylan Mulvaney specifically is absurd. Is absurd. I am so sick of hearing the whining and the complaining over an actor who isn't doing anything wrong. And the amount of time and attention that people are giving to Dylan Mulvaney just constantly, every single day, it is beyond the realm of sanity. And I'm sorry, but Dylan Mulvaney is not the villain here. You know who the real villains are? Matt Walsh is making everyone that is even potentially touching the gender ideology space. He is making all of us look like hateful bigots. I am sorry. The things that Matt Walsh in particular, and we're going to look at Candace Owens too, but the things that Matt Walsh has said about Dylan Mulvaney are cruel. They are unnecessary. They don't help the fight against gender ideology in schools at all. You want to tell me that that guy is a Catholic? A good, God fearing Catholic? This guy doesn't know Christ's love. Yes, exactly. Congratulations. Dylan Mulvaney, she, because I will be using the goddamn pronouns unless I screw it up accidentally. Dylan Mulvaney is an actor. Congratulations, conservatives. You figured it out. The fact that conservatives think, well, Dylan Mulvaney's an actor. Obviously, Dylan Mulvaney was in a Broadway show prior to the pandemic. Dylan Mulvaney is obviously an actor. Do you know what actors want to do? They want to act. They want to perform. They want to sing. They want to put on plays. Actors, when they're good actors, make a lot of money acting. Conservatives are acting like it's the end of the world because an actor is making a living as a fucking actor. We're going to talk more about that. So on the stream today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this here article about refuse to hate Dylan Mulvaney. Hang on. That just started playing for some reason. I'm going to read this here article. We're going to watch some videos in conjunction with this article. And this article has spurred more comments on my social media responding to this Substack. Like, not just on the Substack itself, because I have my Substack set where only people who are paying subscribers can comment on my Substack, but everywhere else on my social media, I cannot even tell you how many feelings good God-fearing Christian conservatives are having over me saying I refuse to hate Dylan Mulvaney. And most of the feelings they're having saying, Carlin, I don't care about Dylan Mulvaney. Oh, really? Then why are you commenting on this and you don't comment on literally anything else that I do? But you're going to come and make a big fucking show and leave an 18-paragraph comment about how much you don't care about Dylan Mulvaney because you're definitely not obsessed at all? Looks pretty white to me, so it looks like you're making shit up. Do I see blackface? No, I don't. I see a trans woman. Because now conservatives have decided, apparently, side note, just in case anyone else missed the memo, now conservatives have decided that if we don't denounce all adult trans people, then we're leftist libtard groomers. So congratulations. If you don't care what adults do with their body, if you don't care if adults make the decision to transition, then in the eyes of many conservatives, not all but many, you are a leftist libtard groomer. Because grooming isn't just about introducing sexual material to children before it's age appropriate anymore. That's not what we're talking about anymore. What we're talking about is anyone that doesn't toe the conservative line. That's what we're talking about, is being called a groomer. And what that is doing is it is watering down what groomer actually means in exactly the same way that the political left watered down what racist means when they started calling everyone they disagreed with politically a racist. And I'm blocking anyone that wants to throw this blackface bullshit. I already have it is amazing the lengths that conservatives will go to to be like, blackface, woman face, but like I've literally had a person with like 3 different accounts that are basically the same already in this chat, like blackface. And that's, by the way, that tone of voice that I use to denunciate a whiny conservative, that's quite literally how I hear it in my head. That's why you guys have to put up with it. If I have to hear the whining in my head, you have to hear it too. Congratulations. So we're going to read this article about why I refuse to hate Dylan Mulvaney. There are a couple videos in this article. And then what I want to do is I want to go back. I want to watch a couple of clips of Matt Walsh. Actually, I think we might watch this one first because this one's from about a month ago. And it's only 4 minutes long. And then we're going to read the article. And in this article, for those of you who missed it, Dylan had her big Day 365 extravaganza where basically she put on a big show. It was a Broadway show. There was singing. There was acting, as a Broadway actor would be prone to do. And in this, Dylan called out the Daily Wire hosts. And I got to tell you, I think the way that Dylan did this was fabulous. I thought it was so smart. Called out the Daily Wire hosts and responded to them. So we're going to watch that. And then we're going to watch the response of Matt Walsh and of Candace Owens. Now, I've seen Matt Walsh's response already. Sadly, I'm going to watch it again. He is extraordinarily cruel. As I'm sure he is in the clip that we're going to watch first, too. Not someone who I would connect with Jesus Christ in any sort of way. And I'm sure that Candace Owens is going to follow that up and be absolutely delightful in her response, which of course is going to make all of us look exactly like these two idiots. So that's what we're going to do today, guys. That is what I've got planned for the channel. So I hope you stick around. Please mount that like button for me if you think that conservatives who are obsessed with groomers need to get a fucking life. That's how I feel about that. But before we jump into that, guys, a few quick notes. Number one, if you have not yet subscribed to my Substack, that is Carlin, KARLYN.substack.com. I hope that you'll consider subscribing today. You can subscribe for free. I post new content on my Substack almost every single day of the week with new contents and updates. I'm basically trying to curate the unwoke information that I think people need to know to make sure that you're up to date with what is going on with news and activism and all that good stuff. I also write essays. I do commentary. I'm trying to basically download every single thing in my brain to all of you. This is a flat out lie. Dylan doesn't push this at all, and anyone who thinks that's true has never actually watched any of Dylan's videos, so you're a liar. We know you have no credibility, but there are still people with credibility in the world. And what I'm trying to do is download everything I know about the woke left and the woke ideology to you via this Substack. There's articles. I haven't been doing as many podcasts lately. I've got a bunch of podcasts I do need to record and put up. There's information. There's videos that link back to the YouTube channel, all that good stuff. And if you want to find out what you may have missed in the last week, the very best place for you to go is to the Unwoke Roundup newsletter, which is going out every weekend. And in the Unwoke Roundup newsletter, you get to see all of the things that I've covered in the last week, and you get to catch up on all of that. You also, if you are a supporter of my work, and guys, I do need about 30 more people to sign up as paying members for my Substack by the end of the month in order to keep on track with the goals I have for the end of the year. So if you appreciate the work I'm doing, I hope you'll consider becoming a paid supporter on my Substack at $5 a month, $50 a year. That really does help me out in order to keep on track with my overall goals for the year. I do need about 30 more people to sign up by the end of the month. We're on track, but we could do a little bit better. But one of the things you're going to get if you sign up as a paid supporter on my Substack is access to the paid supporter perks. They are in the bottom of every Unwoke Roundup email. So if you scroll down to the bottom, you're going to find a couple things. Number one, you're going to find your access code. Excuse me. You're going to find your access code to the Zoom calls that I do every single week on Mondays at 7 p.m. and on Wednesdays at noon. These are private. These are unrecorded. They are supporter calls. You get access to them if you're a supporter on my Locals, my Patreon, or my Substack. You will find the links to join the Zooms at the bottom of the Substack. Another thing you're going to get access to is my supporter Discord, which you will find a link at the bottom of the Substack or on whatever platform you're supporting me on. We do weekly movie nights in my supporter Discord, Sundays at 8 p.m. We watched Gangs of New York last night. We're supposed to be watching Goodfellas this weekend, but it also overlaps with the start of Carlin's month of narcissism. So I'm a little confused about what's going on. I might have to give up a day in my month of narcissism. I'm not happy about that. Jennifer and I are going to have words, but we're going to work it out. It's going to be fine. Whatever's going to happen is going to start. We're going to have a movie on Sunday in the supporter Discord, and you're going to get access to that when you become a supporter of my work in the Substack, which I really appreciate. I also want to let everyone know that I've also just launched a new Substack for my Unwoke art project. This is an art project that has been 2 years in the effing making, and I'm really excited to launch it. And no, we are still watching Killer Clowns. We're gonna work it out. Don't worry about it. But like, so this is a project that's 2 years in the making. Basically, I am making images that provide a cultural commentary and a little bit of an anti-authoritarian bend to what is going on in the world today. And if you want to get updates when I launch a new design, when I launch a design, just like this Biden ignorance is bliss design, which is part of my brand new politics series, what's going to happen when you sign up for this Substack is that every time I launch a new design into the Unwoke art store, you are going to get a message with what the design is. You can download the meme. You guys can share this all over. Like, if you just want to share the meme, you don't want to buy any stuff, that's totally cool with me. So you're going to have access to the meme that you can share. But then I also put that meme on different merch and stuff like that that you can wear. We got mugs now, which is really cool. We got stickers, magnets, posters. I was doing canvas prints, which I am still doing, but we're also doing posters now as well. And so you'll be able to find that. And every single purchase from the Unwoke art store goes to support the work I'm doing. I've got a couple great things. Can I just show you guys real quick? That's not what I wanted to show you. Let me go to the Unwoke art store. I want to show you a design I just launched last night. This isn't in the Substack yet, okay? I'm still getting caught up on the Substack. But look at this design I launched last night. I love this. I love it so much. It's a dragon burning down the US Capitol. I think this is great. I don't know if anyone else understands my sense of humor, but I think that this is fabulous. I've got so many designs that I've been working on. I'm really excited. I was very creative last night and made a whole bunch of stuff that will be launching very, very soon. Well, I am going to be making, I think I'm going to do like aliens landing on the top of the White House or something like that. So that will be coming. But I'm having so much fun with the Unwoke art store, guys. There's all sorts of great stuff. You can find it at unwokeart.com, and you can see all the different designs I have up. I got this Mitch McConnell as the Grim Reaper design. I've got a bunch of Pork Fest stuff up, and there's going to be a lot more coming. And you will be the first to know when new things launch in the Unwoke Art Store when you sign up for free on the Unwoke Art Substack, and you will get an email anytime there's a new design, and you can share it out, do whatever you want to do, and it does help support the work I'm doing. And I really do appreciate it. All right, guys, let's jump into it. Now, the first thing I want to do, this is a clip of Matt Walsh about a month ago, and I haven't seen this yet. Like, a whole bunch of people sent it to me, but I haven't seen it yet. So I want to watch this clip first. Then I want to read the article I wrote about Dylan. Then I want to watch some more recent Daily Wire responses to Dylan, and we're going to go from there. So let me just pull this up in the tab I need to pull it up in. And we are going to watch this Matt Walsh video called Dylan Mulvaney's Horrendous Mockery of Women continues. Let's see what old Maddie, good Catholic Maddie who lives in Christ's love and is just the perfect epitome of kindness and grace and beauty and 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 the warm embrace that Jesus Christ would give anyone who crossed his path. We basically have a living embodiment of that mentality today in Matt Walsh. And I want to see how kind and loving and caring Matt Walsh was in regards to Dylan Mulvaney about a month ago.
Finally, Dylan Mulvaney is on day 300 something of girlhood, and of course has learned nothing from the actual women who've tried to tell him how degrading this whole stunt is. So here's his latest video.
I don't find Dylan to be degrading, and I think that if any woman does find Dylan to be degrading, what that woman can do is watch something else. It's really quite simple, guys. I find that every woman who is talking about, he's doing woman face. I'm sorry. Every single woman who is personally offended at Dylan Mulvaney's videos is weak and needs to work on their resiliency. And I think a very good step to take when you don't like someone's content is to just not watch it. So if someone is offensive to your fragile sensibilities, guess what you don't do? You don't hate watch every effing video that they make. Only losers do that. If you don't like someone's content, just don't watch it. Anyway.
It's day 335 of being a girl, and I wanted to go on record to say that this might be the hottest I've ever looked and will ever look in my lifetime. And I'm making this video so that in thousands of years, there will be evidence.
Dylan looks great.
Is it the dress? It could be the dress. Is it the makeup? Or is it the hair? Because I think it's the extensions. And when I have extensions in, I don't know my name. I don't know where I live.
I think that Dylan looks beautiful. I'm sorry. I think Dylan looks beautiful. And you know what? I like it when people love how they look. We should be encouraging people to love how they look. It is a good thing to have positive self-esteem. Okay? Just because someone likes how they look doesn't mean we need to spend weeks reeing to try to tear them down. This is the distinction between a creator and a destroyer right here. Dylan is being a creator, saying, I love myself, I look great, I'm really feeling myself today. And then Matt Walsh is coming in and like, fuck you, Dylan, I'm going to tell you all the reasons you're ugly. Like, that is the difference between a creator and a destroyer right there. There is no value to be gained by Matt Walsh coming in, you are so ugly. Like, what are you gaining? Why? What's the win there, Matt? Or are you just trying to take advantage of outrage points in order to gin up your audience?
Know that I love these. And I know that I look like I could steal a husband, but I want to promise you, look me in the eyes. I want to promise you that I would never do that to you. Okay, I am a girl's girl. And I love ya. Woo! But seriously, this is good, right? Okay. Love you. Okay.
So Dylan did nothing wrong. Like, that was actually a really sweet, fun video in which Dylan's like, I'm feeling myself today and I'm going to do a video about it. You know what? Good for her. Good for her. No, that's not narcissism. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to put that one up, Everyday Therapist. I meant to put this one up. That's not narcissism. That's a person having a normal, healthy level of self-esteem. The problem is that conservatives seem to think that everything that someone says that they don't like is a bona fide of their inherent narcissism. Every time someone says, you know what, I'm pretty proud of myself, or I think I look great today, or I like my work, conservatives like, you're such a narcissist. I quite literally got called a narcissist because I have in my Twitter bio that I wrote a book. A statement of fact, I wrote this book. And I was called a narcissist for having that in my Twitter bio. So no, you guys have lost your privileges when it comes to throwing around that term narcissism. I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm going to call you out every single time you do it. That is, saying that I like how I look is not narcissistic. I mean, it is, but it's a healthy level of narcissism.
Now, listen, I know I don't have a reputation for being necessarily the kindest or gentlest person in the world, especially when dealing with people like this. The truth, though, is that I am a gentle soul at heart, I think. And also I do feel pity, or I can feel pity for some of these people. And so I wouldn't usually say what I'm about to say, at least not as directly as I'm going to say it. But Dylan Mulvaney is intentionally degrading women every time he does this woman face minstrel show routine. He is insulting and demeaning them and doing it on purpose and profiting off of it. And he doesn't care. And since I have 2 daughters and a wife, I take this kind of thing personally, which is why I have to say to Dylan, Dylan, if that is the most attractive you will ever look, then I don't even want to imagine what you'll look like when you're at your ugliest. You do not pass as an attractive woman or as a woman at all, even with 50 pounds of makeup and plastic surgery and clever lighting tricks. Even then, you still cannot escape what you really are and what you will always be. You have successfully shed whatever parts of you were masculine, perhaps, at least on the surface. Nobody would ever describe you as masculine or manly, so you've got that going. But your femininity quotient has not increased at a rate commensurate with the loss of your masculinity. You may not be masculine, but you also aren't feminine. Instead, you are weird and artificial. You are manufactured and lifeless. You are unearthly and eerie.
Matt Walsh has the nerve to talk about someone being manufactured and lifeless. Are you shitting me? And I think this is a great question. Why exactly does Matt Walsh get to be offended on behalf of all women? I don't want Matt Walsh representing me. I don't want Matt Walsh's wife fucking representing me either. Why is Matt Walsh the speaker on behalf of women? Which women elected Matt Walsh to be the great defender of all women? Because I don't like Matt Walsh's definition of a woman. I don't like Matt Walsh believing that women have a very certain place in any relationship. I don't adhere to that at all. I find Matt Walsh's position on women to be significantly more offensive than I find Dylan Mulvaney's position to be on women. Matt Walsh is welcome to raise his kids however they want, but if Matt Walsh is really raising his daughters to believe that Dylan Mulvaney is going to hold down his daughters in any way, who's going to hold them back, or is offensive to them, then Matt Walsh is raising his daughters to be pussies. I said it. Matt Walsh is raising his daughters to be the worst stereotype of a weak woman who is looking for men to fight the fights that they can damn well fight themselves. And if they are growing up with such fragile sensibilities that what any other adult in the world does is going to bring them to their knees and say, I am disrupting my entire womanhood. Just don't watch it. If Matt Walsh really wanted to raise his daughters to be strong women, you know what he would do? Say, honey, if you don't like content, scroll by. Pay it no mind.
You are like some kind of human deep fake. That's what you are. You are a man deprived of all the best qualities of men, but without any of the best qualities of women. Even your personality is contrived. Everything about you is fake. Nothing about you rings true. Nobody buys the act. You'll never be accepted as a woman by anyone. Never by anyone. Even the people who pretend to accept you as a woman are only pretending because they're afraid of being lectured if they don't. Or because they...
I am not afraid of being lectured if I don't. In fact, I'm getting lectured by conservatives because I make the choice to call Dylan she, her. I actually have. I got angry messages from conservatives. How dare you use she, her pronouns? It's almost like conservatives are trying to compel my speech. Wasn't the whole deal supposed to be that we couldn't compel pronouns? Well, I am voluntarily making the choice to use the pronoun she, her when I refer to Dylan because I believe that everyone deserves basic respect and courtesy, and I don't believe that Dylan is trying to pull a power play over me. If Dylan was pulling a power play over me, that would be a different story, but I think that Dylan is just trying to live her life. And so I will absolutely use she, her pronouns because individuals are entitled to basic respect and courtesy. And I have conservatives right now in my inbox going, how dare you not tell your audience the truth? How dare you use she, her pronouns? I'm unsubscribing because you won't call Dylan he. Well, you're just trying to compel my speech, and you are no better than the woke leftists who are trying to compel pronoun use in the other direction. I will use whatever fucking pronouns I want, and I am choosing to use she, her with Dylan.
Want to use you as a platform to virtue signal. But everyone who looks at you will see something pitiable and bizarre, something utterly unfeminine in every way. You will never be able to actually have the identity that you're trying to appropriate, nor will you ever be able to fully escape the identity that you're fleeing. The best you can hope for is some kind of limbo, the worst of all worlds. And yet, even in that limbo state, you will still be a man. Just not one that any of us can respect or take seriously.
I respect Dylan a whole lot more than I respect you, Matt.
But other than that, champ, you're doing great. And that'll do it for this portion of the show. If you want to become a member.
All right. So that was our first clip from Matt Walsh. Wasn't that delightful? Didn't that just show the grace of Christ that we can expect from most conservative fucking Christians? I don't know why normal Christians who don't buy into this bullshit aren't more pissed off when people like Matt Walsh represent them. I know he's Catholic, but still. So next I want to read this essay that I wrote for my Substack, carlin.substack.com. Let me just pop it in the chat. There you go if you want to follow along. And I wrote this. You guys can't even see it. Hang on. There we go. I wrote this Substack the other night because I, quite frankly, am tired of this. I'm really tired of it. And I think that there are more people who agree with me than are speaking up right now. And I know that because in addition to getting a whole bunch of feedback from conservatives saying, groomer, or how dare you use she, her pronouns, in addition to getting that feedback on this essay, I also got feedback from a lot of people who said, Carlin, you are absolutely right, and I agree with you. And I'm glad someone finally said it, because this is crazy. So I got feedback on both sides of this issue. So I know there are people who agree with me on this. And my hope is that in speaking up and writing this essay and being willing to put out this perspective, more people will speak up against the absolute moral panic that is taking place right now on the conservative right. It shouldn't be hard to write an essay about why I refuse to hate a person. But it is hard because I know it's not in my best interest to write it. And as soon as I hit publish, the backlash will start. Cries of groomer will be heard across the internet with no sense of irony that I quite literally spend my days researching and exposing actual grooming. Still, I feel it has to be written because I think a lot of people out there see this issue as I do, and they're too afraid to say it because of what the blowback will be. So I'll say it. I refuse to hate Dylan Mulvaney. In fact, I kind of love Dylan Mulvaney. I love Dylan's videos. I enjoy them. They make me happy to watch. I could sit there and watch them for hours and be perfectly content. I would absolutely hang out with Dylan, and I think it would be fun. I love that our catchphrase is love ya, and I find it incredibly endearing. If I didn't like Dylan's videos, do you know what I would do about it? I wouldn't watch them. That's it. I wouldn't watch them and then move on with life. Dylan is doing nothing wrong and does not deserve the blowback she's getting for posting fun videos on the internet that no one is forced to watch. But let's back up. For anyone who has been living under a rock, Dylan Mulvaney is a trans TikTok star that doesn't really need to do much of anything to piss off the political right. Her Days of Girlhood series, documenting her transition, invites ire simply by existing. And yes, I will use she, her pronouns for Dylan because I believe everyone deserves basic respect and dignity, and that it looks petty and spiteful not to respect a person with the grace of referring to them how they wish. Dylan is over the top in these videos. A Broadway performer prior to the pandemic, when her show got shut down, Dylan has a love of flair, performance, and all of the things that you would imagine a Broadway performer would love. The personality on the stage, the personality that Dylan portrays in her videos is something that you would see in a performance on the stage. And because of that, so many people think Dylan is just doing all of this for money. However, the transition does seem real. Dylan has been on hormones for some time and recently got facial feminization surgery. She seems pretty thrilled with the results so far. Guys, if you're not serious about something, you don't have major cosmetic surgery. I'm sorry. I don't think she ruined it. I thought it was a nice rendition of it. You guys think she ruined it because you are hell-bent on making everything she does seem bad. Why did you even watch it? That's the question I have. How do you even know this happened? If you don't care about Dylan and it's just like, what, you just don't like the trans stuff, you just don't like it, why did you even watch it? Because this was on a private live stream that literally no one was forced to watch. So why are you watching it if you find it so distasteful? This is what I'm talking about. Dylan did and we'll talk about this in a second. Dylan did a private live stream of this performance. You had to buy a ticket to get into this live stream. And yet all of these conservatives are so offended by what happened in this live stream. Why are you watching it? Did you buy a ticket specifically to hate watch it? Were you waiting and scrolling through YouTube for videos to come out from this live stream? Why are you even watching it in the first place if you're having so many feelings about what is going on in the live stream? You don't have to watch it. I think Dylan is a trans person that has created a nice living for themselves by making their journey into a Broadway performance. Except that Dylan's stage is TikTok and she gets to perform in front of more people in a day than she would on Broadway in a lifetime. And why is there anything wrong with that? Because this is what I keep hearing from conservatives. Dylan's an actor, Carly. Can you see that Dylan's an actor? No shit, Sherlock. Dylan was literally making a living as a professional actor prior to the pandemic. You expect me to be shocked and react in horror because someone says, well, you know, Dylan's an actor. Duh. Dylan is obviously a drama kid. She loves acting and singing and dancing and doing all of the things anyone who loves performing would do. So Dylan found a way to take what was going on in her life, add some flair to it, and make a living doing what they love. Don't we want people to make a living doing something they love? Isn't that the American dream? Or is it just everyone else's, or is it just everyone else that's allowed to be successful and happy, except for the people that we don't agree with ideologically? Actors want to make money acting. Successful actors actually end up making a lot of money acting. And guess what? Dylan is so smart that she came up with a way to do it where she doesn't even need anyone to write a script for her to do it because she's following the story arc of her own life. Some people think it's fake, but I don't. It turns out Dylan has always been like this. This video circulated this past week showing Dylan on The Price is Right, and it looks eerily similar to pretty much every video Dylan makes today. So for everyone saying, he's just acting, Carlin, he's acting. Well, this is Dylan on The Price is Right pre-transition. And I want to watch this. And I want to see if anyone sees anything similar to how Dylan behaves now. Let's watch.
You get to spin the wheel.
Yeah, you get to spin the wheel, but guess what? You get a second chance in this game first.
No way. Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm still in it.
So you know two prices already, which is a great thing. $3.99 and $5.99. Which one do you want to keep?
I'm going to keep the $5.99.
Keep $5.99. Something else up here is $5.99. You can tell me what it is. You get everything.
I'm going to say the soup.
Soup. $5.99. It's pretty fancy. It is. Yes! You got it! Dylan's a winner! Dylan's a winner! Dylan, nice job, man. Look at that. We're going to spin the wheel right after this. Don't go away, folks.
So you're saying that Dylan is incredibly consistent in their personality and that Dylan pre-transition was pretty much the same thing as Dylan now, except that now Dylan has longer hair and has had their face feminized a little bit and wears dresses. Like you're saying they're exactly the same person and everyone is so surprised by this. I wasn't surprised by this. I always thought Dylan was actually being their authentic selves. This just confirmed it. Now, I'm no fan of gender ideology, particularly when it's pushed in K through 12 schools. I'm not in favor of anyone medically transitioning before the age of 18. Ideally, they'd wait until they get to 25 years old, which is how old Dylan is, by the way, because that's when the brain fully develops. But if we can die in a war at 18 years old, then we should probably get to make decisions about our body too. However, if I believe that to be woke is to be an authoritarian, and I do, and I write about that in a separate piece on the site, you can go read it, that means being actively unwoke would be to push back against any ideology that wants to tell people how to live their lives or how to express themselves. I don't care if people are trans. I don't care if they're non-binary. I don't care if they're flamboyant and love clothes and sparkles and show tunes and make videos about girlhood and put on a whole Broadway performance celebrating themselves. I don't think being against woke ideology means that I automatically have to hate on trans people, and I think we'd be a lot more successful in waking more people up to the dangers of what the far left is doing if the rhetoric on trans people was turned down several notches. I have met dozens, if not more, women that act exactly like that. The fact you are a lesbian doesn't mean anything. You might be around more butch women. I happen to tend to be more masculine in how I present as a woman, but I have absolutely spent my fair share of time in sororities. And yes, in sororities, there are absolutely women who act just like they are in Legally Blonde. Just because you do not personally have experience with something does not mean it doesn't happen. This is another thing that conservatives do that drives me crazy. Conservatives are always like, the left always talks about their lived experiences. Well, guess what? Conservatives do it too. You're literally using your lived experiences as evidence. Guess what? When I was in college, my freshman year college roommate acted exactly like Dylan did in that video because she was a sorority girl and that's how she effing acted. We didn't get along all that well at the end, I'll tell you that. Because I don't tend to like that type of woman when I'm hanging out with them. But to say that no one acts like that because you don't personally hang around people who act like that, come on. The stereotype from Legally Blonde wouldn't exist if there weren't women who act like that. The animosity towards Dylan Mulvaney makes absolutely no sense to me. About 3 months ago, I did a whole stream dedicated to watching Dylan. I suspected that most people didn't like her without ever having watched her. And it turns out none of the ones that she had posted at that time, the videos I mean, were even that bad. You know, I do find it ironic that I've had so many conservatives who, again, never watch my channel. I've never seen you on my channel, Rachel. Maybe you watch it and you don't chat or comment, but I've never seen you before. But you know what you're showing up for? The Dylan Mulvaney video to say, I don't hate her. I don't hate her. There are so many conservatives just like, I don't hate her. I just hate everything she stands for and I hate all groomers. And then they never show up for anything else. They never show up when we're investigating grooming in schools. They never show up when we're watching the webinars. But they show up to comment on Dylan Mulvaney because we can see where their priorities are. In the earlier videos that Dylan posted, it was obvious that Dylan was trying to find her voice. As she got more popular, she got more confident in it and started to really get to know the person she wanted to be in public. There are a lot of new people here today, Bot. Isn't that funny? Isn't it funny how the new people who always claim to be longtime viewers always happen to show up on days such as today? Which is fine. I welcome new people to my channel. But don't pretend you're a longtime active viewer of my channel, because I know the people who are longtime active viewers of my channel because I pay attention to my chat. The video about tampons that got Dylan in internet hot water was followed up with a video of Dylan talking about how she knows she doesn't get a period, an astonishing admittance from many trans activists, and that she carries them in her purse in case someone she's with needs one. I thought that was kind of sweet and thought about how many times in my life it would have been so helpful and appreciated. None of the videos we watched on the previous stream I did about Dylan were anything to write home about. Even in the one where Dylan is speaking to younger people, there was a he in there. I messed up. She was specific. See, I still struggle with the pronoun stuff. I admit it. I struggle with the pronoun stuff. But I try, and I make an effort. She was specific to say that it was okay to slow down and not rush right into transition. I'm going to say this again because I flubbed that sentence, so people may have gotten lost. Dylan actually made a video talking to Dylan's younger fans in which Dylan was specific to say that it was okay to slow down and not rush right into transition. Dylan actually cautioned, I said his again, God damn it. I really do try with the pronoun stuff. Dylan actually cautioned her audience not to rush into transition, which is exactly what we want trans people saying. And everyone is still upset about it. And you guys can watch that stream if you would like to do so. In her recent Day 365 live show, a Broadway-esque performance celebrating Dylan's first full year of being a girl, she addressed some of the hate she gets directly. And for those who haven't seen it, I want to watch this clip.
Things are going really well. Like, I just had my first dance as a girl, and I can pay my bills, and I'm building up a following, and I feel supported. And you know what? I'm feeling lucky. Let's Google my name.
Dylan Mulvaney is intentionally degrading women every time he does this woman-face minstrel show routine. He is insulting and demeaning them and doing it on purpose and profiting off of it, and he doesn't care. If that is the most attractive you will ever look, then I don't even want to imagine what you'll look like when you're at your ugliest.
Documenting his creepy, fetishized version of what it means to be a girl.
Well, Dylan Mulvaney has had some surgery to make his face look more like Bruce Jenner's. Dylan Mulvaney has just given the best proof yet that transgenderism broadly, or at very least the type of transgenderism that he suffers from, is a sexual fetish.
Dylan is not a woman. Dylan is playing a caricature of a woman.
That one can say he is a woman and become one of the most influential women in America in just 6 months of wearing dresses and ironing his hair. The patriarchy always wins, gang.
Oh, and there is Dylan Mulvaney as Audrey Hepburn. The difference being that Audrey Hepburn was an actual woman with a vagina.
Okay, now what in the right-wing house?
Who put this hateful mess on up in here? I did. I showed it.
What? Why would you give them even a second of your big day?
Well, these are the people I have to deal with on a regular basis, so I thought I should include them in the evening.
But that doesn't mean you have to listen to them.
Well, I've always loved a little constructive criticism.
Baby, there's nothing constructive about that.
And it's not just criticism, it's indoctrination. Trans and non-binary people have been around for thousands of years.
My love, they want to silence us. They want to silence us and keep us in the matrix.
Well, I think we've established that I really like to talk, so I don't think they're going to have the best luck silencing me. Truthfully, I don't know what their goal is, but I do know how they make me feel now that I've built up a thicker skin. It doesn't hurt me. Do you want to feel how it feels? Do you want to know know that it doesn't hurt me? Do you want to hear about the deal I'm making? My response going forward, it's not over explaining myself. It's not pleading. It's not expecting kindness from someone who has no kindness to give. My response is in the next joyous video that I make. That's my response. And if I only could, I'd make a deal with God, and I'd get him to swap our places. Can we pause there? I'm going to say something that might make people feel a little bit uncomfortable. I'm trying really hard to maintain a relationship with God, and I don't think that he made a mistake with me. And that maybe one day I will actually be grateful for being trans. That this isn't some curse, but it's just a different path to the same destination. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, be running up that building. If I only could.
I thought that was a lovely response. I thought it was great. I thought it looked a hell of a lot more Christian than anything I heard coming out of the Daily Wire. Dylan is talking about having because not everyone has the same relationship with God you do. Not everyone has the same journey. You people, and don't think I didn't see it earlier, are inherently disrespectful of anyone that doesn't see the world the way you do. There are those of us who do not believe the things you believe, and yet you are constantly trying to force your authoritarian bullshit on all of us. That's why. Just because you believe a certain thing about God does not mean that everyone believes that thing about God. Now, Dylan is talking about having a relationship with God, loving herself, knowing that even through challenges that life throws at you, God didn't make a mistake. That was a lovely message. And guess what? I don't want people who are really trans to believe that God made a mistake with them. We all have different journeys in life. We are all on different paths. And for the conservative Christians in the chat who are not getting the message because you're too locked into the conservative Christian mentality, let me explain something to you. There are people in the world, many of them more than you, who believe that people are born trans and part of their journey in life is to manage that. And yes, in some cases, transition. That is a journey that people can have with life and still say that God didn't make a mistake with me, because it is about the journey. It is about the experience. And yes, I do believe trans people are a thing. I am not going to kowtow to this conservative talking point that says that no one is trans. I don't believe that. Do you really think it's a good look for conservatives to be hating on this person so badly? A person that is literally talking about having a relationship with God and not seeing themselves as a mistake as they're going through major life choices. And of course, after this video came out, all the Daily Wire hosts issued statements doubling down, and we're going to watch 2 of them. While claiming to be a good Catholic or Christian, said with some of the most hurtful and unnecessary things. They certainly said things I wouldn't align with Jesus Christ or his perfect love any day. The Christians in the chat right now are having feelings about being persecuted because Christians have a persecution complex as a general rule. Not all Christians, but some of you. They're like, you are being so mean. Why are you being so mean? Why are you targeting? Because you know why they do that, guys? Because there are a lot of Christians out there who have a persecution fetish. They get off on it. The same, like a lot of conservatives like to attack trans women as being like autogynephiliacs. They're saying it's all a sexual fetish and that's the only reason they're doing it. Do you know why Christians always complain so loudly when they're persecuted? It's because persecution for Christians is a sexual fetish. They get off on it. They need to be persecuted. If they are not persecuted, they do not feel that they are doing their job of trying to harass and proselytize to people enough. They literally get off on being persecuted. That's why they complain about it so much. If you don't like someone, fine. But hate watching someone every single day just so you have an opportunity to destroy them is pathetic and lame. It doesn't make you look like the good guys. Dylan's real crime in the eyes of the people who hate her is that she's too successful at what she's doing. No one would care at all if Dylan wasn't successful. They care because so many people love Dylan and they can't stand it. But here's what they don't understand. Dylan is successful because Dylan is showing love to people. She is making them feel good and forget their worries for a moment. Attacking her will only bring her more fans and make her more money. If you really want Dylan to fail, then just stop watching and talking about her. Dylan is not the enemy. I watch far left, progressive, trans, queer, socialist content almost every day of the week. I watch the real stuff, the most dystopian on the internet. What Dylan is doing is so far from that they aren't even in the same league. When you watch the real stuff, and if you want to know what the real stuff is, go back and watch my archives of Socialism Saturday. When you watch the real stuff, you will see how innocent Dylan is. I'd rather have someone watch Dylan over the people we watch for Socialism Saturday on my channel every week. And it's not even close. Dylan can teach them about capitalism when she goes and buys her first designer purse, and then teach them about budgeting by explaining she bought the cheapest one, but not only because it was the cheapest, but because it would go with everything. She would use it a lot. That explains a very good purchasing decision. I would rather people watch Dylan every single day than watch the socialists that we watch on the channel. In fact, I'll even go farther. I would much rather have a teenager watch Dylan teaching them about capitalism and buying an expensive designer purse than a socialist teaching them about Marxism every single day. Because you know why? In Soviet Russia, no one owns a designer purse. I love Dylan. I'm going to keep watching and enjoying Dylan's videos, and I really hope that Dylan knows that not everyone on this side of the debate hates her. Because I don't want Dylan to get so much hate from people in the anti-woke space that she gets pushed into more extreme beliefs on the left because she thinks that's the only place for her. She's saying pretty measured things right now. It's a nice balance. I want her to keep talking like that, not getting pushed further and further to the left just to get away from the vitriol on the right. And I think it's all ridiculous. Can we please focus on things that matter? That's my essay about why I refuse to hate Dylan Mulvaney. Now what I want to do is I want to watch the reactions to what Dylan did in her Day 365 show, where she blatantly called out the Daily Wire. We're going to watch two responses. The first response we're going to watch is Matt Walsh. And I want to see how good of a Christian Matt Walsh is. I want to see how much Matt Walsh, Catholic. I don't really know the difference between the two, to be honest with you, because I don't ascribe to either. But it seems to me that both of them read the Bible, different versions perhaps, that both of them go to a church, that both of them believe that Jesus Christ is at the center of their faith. So I want to know just how much Matt Walsh is going to embrace Christ's beautiful love in his response to Dylan Mulvaney. Let's watch. And yes, the other one is Candace Owens. And I haven't watched that one yet. I've watched this one.
65 of womanhood. Actually, I need to correct myself. He calls it girlhood, not womanhood, because this grown adult man is very specifically imitating an adolescent girl. It was day 365 of girlhood, then, to be precise. And I guess I need to correct myself again, because it was actually day 0 of girlhood. He has experienced precisely 0 days of being a girl or a woman. A year from now, he'll still be sitting at 0 days. Another year after that, still 0 days. A year after that, 0 days. And when he dies, he will leave this earth a man with 0 days spent being anything other than a man. And when archaeologists dig up his bones centuries from now, they will know that they are the bones of a man. They won't know the preferred pronouns of the bones. They won't know anything about the bones except that they belong to a human male. When everything else is forgotten about Dylan Mulvaney, and everything else will be forgotten about Dylan Mulvaney, the only fact that will remain is the one fact he wants us to forget. So with those caveats, we turn to Mulvaney's Day 365 celebration at the Rockefeller Center. Commemoration really began a day before, when Mulvaney appeared on Drew Barrymore's talk show and sat there with a pleased expression on his face when Barrymore literally knelt at his feet and paid tribute to the trans deity. He went from there to the red.
So I want to talk about the Drew Barrymore thing. What they were doing is what girls do at a slumber party, Matt. Have you ever allowed your daughters to have a slumber party, Matt? Because that's how they behave at slumber parties. I know, because I went to a slumber party or two in my day, and the kneeling by the feet and doing the things where they hold hands is how girls behave at a slumber party.
Carpet and an even more adoring crowd. His Day 365 included celebrity guests and big musical numbers. He pranced around on stage and he basked in the applause of an adoring crowd who had all come out to congratulate him for pretending to be a girl for the past year. A fawning article in Rolling Stone tells us that Mulvaney spent a week rehearsing his Day 365 performance. It also tells us that he started developing the concept 6 months ago, which means that Mulvaney had only been, quote unquote, transitioning into a, quote unquote, girl for 6 months when he decided that his transition needed to be celebrated with a star-studded gala.
Oh, you mean, Matt, you mean you're pissed off that whole productions and shows take time to plan? And you mean to tell me that someone who is having phenomenal success on the internet isn't allowed to celebrate the anniversary of that phenomenal success by doing something big and grand? It's like Matt Walsh expected that Dylan was going to wait up until like a week before Day 365 to start planning anything because, you know, we just want to have a small little shindig. Of course not. Dylan is a Broadway star. Why wouldn't they put on a Broadway show? It makes no sense. And if you're going to put on a Broadway show, then you're going to start planning that in advance, Matt. It's the way it goes.
In New York. But not everyone who starred in the show chose to be a part of it. In fact, as it turns out, I made a cameo appearance along with the entire rest of the Daily Wire crew because every good show needs a villain, and that was our role to play. Watch.
Things are going really well. Like, I just had my first dance as a girl, and
sorry, guys, you're gonna have to watch this again because
and
Matt
I'm building up a following, and I feel supported. And you know what? I'm feeling lucky. Let's Google my name.
Dylan Mulvaney is intentionally degrading women every time he does this woman face minstrel show routine. He is insulting and demeaning them and doing it on purpose and profiting off of it, and he doesn't care. If that is the most attractive you will ever look, then I don't even want to imagine what you'll look like when you're at your ugliest.
Documenting his creepy, fetishized version of what it means to be a girl.
Well, Dylan Mulvaney has had some surgery to make his face look more like Bruce Jenner's. Dylan Mulvaney has just given the best proof yet that transgenderism broadly, or at very least the type of transgenderism that he suffers from, is a sexual fetish.
I just want to stop it there just for a second and say that this comment from Michael Knowles is way beyond the pale. I mean, how could you accuse this man of engaging in a sexual fetish? Is it because he has recorded videos singing about his penis bulge?
Normalize the bulge. We are normalizing the bulge. Women can have bulges, and that's okay. We're not going to stare at their crotches while they're wearing their little shopping shorts at the mall. Oh, thank you. Love you. Bye.
It drives me crazy that they're so ginned up on that one video where Dylan is literally just effing around. To any normal person watching that, like, that is effing around. That was funny. I am sorry. That was funny. But no, it's an affront. Dylan is grooming because he posted a 30-second TikTok video. Oh my God.
Okay, well, I guess that is pretty good evidence that this is a sexual fetish on second thought. All right, so let's go back to the video then.
Dylan is not a woman. Dylan is playing a caricature of a woman.
That one can say he is a woman and become one of the most influential women in America in just 6 months of wearing dresses and ironing his hair. The patriarchy always wins, gang.
Oh, and there is Dylan Mulvaney as Audrey Hepburn. The difference being that Audrey Hepburn was an actual woman with a vagina.
Mess on up in here. I did. I showed it.
What? Why would you give them even a second of your big day?
Well, these are the people I have to deal with on a regular basis, so I thought I should include them in the evening.
But that doesn't mean you have to listen to them.
Well, I've always loved a little constructive criticism.
Baby, there's nothing constructive about that.
And it's not just criticism, it's indoctrination. Trans and non-binary people have been around.
I want to say that I actually think that the fact that they're trying to turn around the whole indoctrination thing and use it is like a pro-Dylan argument, I think that's pretty effing cringe. I don't like this part of the skit. I don't agree with it. However, my disagreement with how Matt Walsh and the rest of the Daily Wire people handled this is far stronger than how I feel about them doing a little play on words and a little Broadway play.
For thousands of years.
We have to pause it there again because, of course, that's total nonsense. Everything in the video is nonsense. But this always deserves special mention. Billions of human beings lived on this planet for thousands of years. Civilizations rose and fell without anyone inventing anything that even vaguely resembled the modern notion of trans and non-binary.
You know, we watched Gangs of New York last night for movie night. And if you haven't seen Gangs of New York recently, first of all, Gangs of New York is basically about like New York City back in the day and like the around the Civil War era when the civil, like, so we're talking about like the 1860 something, when a lot of immigrants were coming into New York and the different, areas in New York were being built up and all of the different gangs that were in New York and the gangs were all fighting each other, all this stuff. The reason I bring this up is that in Gangs of New York, which is based on a historical book, do you know what they had in Gangs of New York? They had the she-he's. There were trans people in Gangs of New York that they were prostitutes, that were men that dressed up like women to sell themselves to men who wanted that sort of fare. They called them the she-he's. They were called out several times in the movie. So for Matt Walsh to say that this has just started happening, no, these types of people have been around for a long ass time.
It didn't exist anywhere at all until a group of weirdo psychologists and sexologists in the mid-20th century made it all up. That's the actual history correctly told.
My love, they want to silence us. They want to silence us and keep us in the matrix.
Well, I think we've established that I really like to talk, so I don't think they're going to have the best luck silencing me. Truthfully, I don't know what their goal is, but I do know how they make me feel now that I've built up a thicker skin. It doesn't hurt me. Do you want to feel how it feels? Do you want to know that it doesn't hurt me? Do you want to hear about the deal I'm making?
When this is over, I want you guys to all pay attention to the reaction that the good Catholic, the the warrior of Christ, the good Catholic Matt Walsh. I want you to hear how the good Catholic responds to Dylan talking about how Dylan is trying to maintain a relationship with God. Because again, a relationship with God is something that you might think would be a positive thing. You might think that that might be something that, we want to encourage people to have relationships with God if we're good, God-fearing Catholics. Let's just see how Matt responds to that once Dylan is done singing the song.
My response going forward, it's not over-explaining myself. It's not pleading. It's not expecting kindness from someone who has no kindness to give. My response is in the next joyous video that I make. That's my response. And if I only could, I'd make a deal with God, and I'd get him to swap our places. Can we pause there? I'm going to say something that might make people feel a little bit uncomfortable. I'm trying really hard to maintain a relationship with God, and I don't think that he made a mistake with me. And that maybe one day I will actually be grateful for being trans. That this isn't some curse, but it's just a different path to the same destination. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, be running up that building. If I only could.
I'm sorry to cut that off because it's really quite powerful. Powerful for a few reasons. One, it proves that somebody can hit all the notes and still sound terrible. And also, it proves all of the points that we have been trying to make about this man. After all, our entire criticism of Mulvaney is that he is not a woman, but rather a performer wearing womanhood as a costume. His idea of womanhood is what he learned from Disney cartoons. And how exactly does he respond to that charge? Well, by dressing up as a Disney princess and dancing around on stage and delivering a tearful monologue while singing, exactly as a Disney princess would. A monologue that, by his own admission, he has been rehearsing for a week as part of a performance he had planned 6 months ago. So his tears are then about as authentic as everything else about him, which is to say they are utterly contrived and staged, just more emotional manipulation meant to shut down valid criticism. I mean, imagine a man, in blackface singing a self-pitying song about how his heart breaks whenever someone tells him that his costume is offensive to black people. That there is no difference here. Mulvaney pretends that he doesn't understand the criticism. That's because the trans agenda runs exclusively on falsehoods, bad faith, and emotional blackmail. And Mulvaney exemplifies all three. He puts on a cartoonish performance of womanhood that is as degrading and absurd as possible. He monetizes the performance. He amplifies it through every platform available. And then when the criticism rightly comes his way, he acts like he's just some random person trying to live his private life in peace. Speaking of his critics, he says that he doesn't know what our goals are. Now, I think he does. But for the moment, I'll allow for the possibility that he's as stupid and oblivious as he wants us to think he is. And so I will explain. Our goal is to defend reality, and it really is not any more complicated than that. And here's one reality. No real woman will ever get a red carpet extravaganza at the Rockefeller Center to congratulate her for simply existing.
So before Matt continues on this little diatribe, I just want to point out that when Dylan was having a heartfelt moment that was about maintaining a relationship with God, and yeah, it was a performance. It was like they'd been rehearsing this for a while, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a genuine thought. And the fact that it was in the performance entirely, I don't respond to Matt Walsh fanboys who never come to my channel and then pretend that they've just been faithful viewers all along when I've literally never seen them in chat before. So no, I don't plan to do that. Sorry. The fact that Matt Walsh just glossed that over, it says it's just an emotional manipulation technique just so he can avoid criticism. You expect me to believe that Matt Walsh is a good, God-fearing person that brings the kindness and empathy and care that Christ would into any conversation? No, I don't believe it. He is an authoritarian, nothing more. He is a person that wants to push his moral agenda onto you and convince you that he's just selling you reality. That's all it is. I'm just talking about reality here. No, this is an authoritarian narrative that is designed to make you hate people that are outside of a new political ideology. Wyatt, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for being the voice of reason, Carlin. I'm trying, Wyatt. I do appreciate the support. Let's wrap this up. You're using Matt Walsh talking points. Like, again, I don't mean to be picking on you, but the fact of the matter is that I don't recognize you from being a regular viewer on my channel, so I know that's not true. I also don't like it when people insult my intelligence and say, I'm not a Matt Walsh fanboy, when you are literally regurgitating talking points that come from Matt Walsh. For people who are newer viewers of me, I pay very close attention to language, and I pay very close attention to the language the left is using, the right is using, and the libertarians are using. I pay very close attention to the language the influencers are using because I want to know where the different talking points are coming from. And every single time that Matt Walsh says something, I end up hearing those talking points over and over. I know it comes from Matt Walsh because I know when I hear the talking points over and over and over again that he was the origin source for it. And then the people spouting those talking points want to deny that they were influenced by Matt Walsh. I'm sorry. You are quite literally spouting his talking points. All of his talking points. So don't tell me you aren't influenced by him.
Okay. No real woman's going to get that for actually being a woman for a year. That's the kind of spectacle only reserved for Dylan Mulvaney, a privilege enjoyed by him and people like him. Why is that a problem? Well, for a lot of reasons, but I can illustrate one of the reasons with maybe a brief story. So I think about when our most recent set of twins were born. And I'll never forget the moment. Of course, 2 months ago, standing in the delivery room, first baby born successfully, no problems. But then the situation turns dire with the second. The doctor, unable to safely deliver because of a prolapsed umbilical cord, has to make a split-second decision to perform an emergency C-section. There's a lot of blood. I'd never been in the room for any kind of operation before. I don't know exactly what I was expecting.
It's almost like Matt Walsh right now, right in front of us, is making an emotional manipulation while accusing Dylan Mulvaney of making an emotional... This is what we're watching right now. Matt Walsh just said, you just talked about God, Dylan, because you're trying to emotionally manipulate us. And do you now know what Matt Walsh is doing? He's telling a story about how his wife gave birth to twins and there was so much blood in the room. And this story has absolutely no relevance to the topic at hand. What Matt Walsh is doing is the emotional manipulation that he just accused Dylan Mulvaney of doing, proving once again that the ironclad law of woke projection not only applies to the political left, who they do it all the time, but it also applies to the political right. They project their bullshit just as much. Every single thing that Matt Walsh is saying about Dylan Mulvaney is true of Matt Walsh himself.
But was expecting all that, the blood. And then there was my wife, laying there calm, but shivering at several points on the verge of passing out. The only thing I could do was hold her hand and tell her the babies are okay and everything's going to be fine. And I did tell her that, even though for a period of several minutes, I wasn't sure if it was actually true. But everything was fine in the end. And my wife has now taken on the task of caring for these 2 infants, along with 4 other children, with incredible grace and joy. And I'm not surprised to see her meet the challenge that way. She's a remarkable woman. I've always known that. That's why I married her. And yet, there will never be an event at the Rockefeller Center to celebrate my wife's womanhood, okay? She's not going to have any adoring crowds flocking to bask in her presence and applaud her and fawn over her for being a woman. She knows more about being a woman than Dylan Mulvaney will ever know or could ever know. She's experienced womanhood at the deepest level. She bears its scars, literally. She carries its burdens. She knows its blessings. She's a wife, a mother, a daughter, a sister. She's all the things that Mulvaney and his ilk have never been.
and can never understand. And yet he is put on the stage with the spotlight and the corporate sponsorships. He is celebrated for being what he isn't. It's like giving the Medal of Honor to some dude who played Call of Duty in his basement. Now, it's not that my wife would want all of this fanfare. She's not a raging narcissist.
Exactly the point I'm
like
about
Dylan
to
Mulvaney.
make, Jennifer.
The point is simply that by elevating and celebrating these fake cartoon faux women, our society has emptied womanhood of everything that's truly beautiful and meaningful and important about it. And if there's any solace to women, they aren't alone in this boat, far from it. The same has happened with manhood. The same has happened with everything.
He does forget
all that is good and true is hollowed out and made artificial and absurd and ugly. You know, it's funny that one of Dylan's cohorts on stage there says that we, his critics, want to keep them in the matrix. Now, as always, the truth is exactly the other way around. Gender ideology is the matrix. What you just saw there on the screen, that's the matrix. It's, you know, I'm sad to say, it's not nearly as cool as the movie
no one
version.
forced anyone to watch.
That's our version of the Matrix, what you just saw. It is a fake
no one
alternate
forced
universe.
anyone
It
to
is an
watch
artificial projection
Then don't
meant
watch
to
it.
obscure reality. And we are urged to play along so as not to ruin the illusion.
No, you're not urged to play along. Don't fucking watch it.
But we, some of us anyway, are tired of illusions.
Then don't watch
We are
it.
tired of the artificial. We are tired of imitations. We want reality. If we're going to celebrate womanhood, then we're going to celebrate the real thing. And that is not you, Dylan. And it never will be. And that'll do it for the show today as we
And that is the end of that clip. Now, before we move on to watch Candace Owens, what I want to say is this. Dylan and the team that is helping Dylan to produce his show, the Day 365 show, rented out the Rainbow Room in New York and paid for every single part of that production and put on a show. Matt, if you want your wife to be celebrated in a similar production, do you know what you need to do, Matt? You need to rent out the Rainbow Room in New York. You need to hire a production team and you instruct them to put on a grand show celebrating your wife. Literally nothing is preventing Matt Walsh's wife from having a grand celebration in exactly the same way that Dylan Mulvaney had a grand celebration. Matt Walsh has more than enough money to be able to do all of these things. And guess what? If Matt Walsh did these things, they could sell tickets to it. They could shill it just like they've shilled every single Daily Wire product that is nothing more than a backlash to what the woke left is doing. They shill chocolate bars, they shill razors, they shill all sorts of things that the Daily Wire sells. You think that they wouldn't shill tickets to a show celebrating Matt Walsh's wife? Of course they would. So don't tell me. You know, the problem with Dylan is that people are putting on a show celebrating him, and no one would ever put a show for my darling wife who gave birth to our twins, and there was just blood everywhere. No one would ever put on a show for her. Matt, if you want a show put on for her, fucking put on the show. This is not hard. It is not difficult. The reason that Dylan had a show is because they made the decision to put on the show, to pay for the show, to sell tickets to the show, to invite guests to the show, to live stream the show on the internet. You are perfectly capable to do the same thing. It is perfectly within the realm of possibility that if it is so important that you want your wife to have a show celebrating her existence, then pay for it and put it on your damn self. It's like these people don't believe in personal empowerment at all. Truly. But guys, we're about running out of time, and I have one more clip I want to watch, and I have not seen this one yet. I did see the one with Matt Walsh. I have not yet seen our good friend Candace Owens. And I have heard tell that Candace was even crueler than Matt, which doesn't surprise me at all, one little bit. As a reminder, I do need to wrap up at 7 p.m. tonight because we will be doing a private supporter call in my community. If you are a paying member on my Substack, a paying member of my Locals, a paying member of my Patreon, you will be invited to the private supporter call. The information is on whatever platform you're a paying member of in order to join the Zoom call, and I'm looking forward to connecting with my community then. But let's watch this clip from Candace, who I'm sure will also be kind and compassionate and all of the good things.
For you of Dylan Mulvaney. Dylan Mulvaney woke up one day about a year ago and decided, I'm going to be a woman, and has been openly mocking women since. The first video he dropped, again, he was wearing a short skirt and pretending to be afraid of bugs, because I guess in his head, his idea of what a woman is someone who's just terrified to be outside and wears high heels outside and frolics, right? It's an open mockery. And if you are a woman, this should infuriate you, because this is playing Halloween, right? My colleague Matt Walsh calls this woman face.
Again, if you are in, oh, look, the woman face thing came from Matt Walsh. To the person in the chat who said the woman face thing didn't come from Matt Walsh, Candace Owens literally just said the woman face thing came from Matt Walsh. I know fucking everything. I follow all of these people. Don't tell me when I don't know where talking points come from. But again, it's like, if you don't like it, Candace, if you're really that offended by a sorority girl type of persona, then you are a weak ass bitch.
And it is. That's exactly what's happening. But rather than the media agreeing that this is not okay and agreeing that women have a right to be infuriated, they are handing Dylan Mulvaney awards and inviting Dylan Mulvaney to speak at summits and giving Dylan Mulvaney sponsorships and handing Dylan Mulvaney tampons and giving Dylan Mulvaney free tampons and free makeup.
Oh no.
Right?
It's almost like Candace Owens is complaining that Dylan Mulvaney is financially successful. Huh. It almost seems like Candace Owens is trying to drum up a cancel mob to cancel Dylan Mulvaney's financial success. Gee. Do we not want people to be able to make livings in the world, Candace? Is it your job to decide who is allowed to make a living and who is not allowed to make a living? Is that entirely within your purview, Candace? Shayna, thank you for the super chat. Tis tis, Carlin. Matt Walsh's ego wouldn't let there be a show about his wife. Well, that's exactly right, Shayna, isn't it? Matt Walsh would never put on a show for his wife because Matt Walsh wouldn't be the center of attention at the show. His wife would be the center of attention. So we can never allow that to happen.
So society is basically joining Dylan Mulvaney in the roarous laughter of women. So my colleague Matt Walsh responded to that video I played in the monologue of him talking about how this was the hottest he was ever going to look in his life, and maybe it was because of the extensions, and he looks like he can take your man, but don't worry, he won't, because he's a good Dylan Mulvaney, because he's obviously not a woman. And bizarrely, and it's a perfect response, I'm going to play it for you. Bizarrely, people were upset with Matt Walsh for this response, for having the courage to, as a real man, stand up and back up women. Women should be infuriated. And I'm just going to play what Matt Walsh said, because it's so beautiful. It's so poetic.
Oh, we get to listen to it again. Excellent.
And it is exactly how I feel when I see videos of men playing dress up as women.
Is this the right
and
video?
Mocking all the things that we
2 weeks ago. I didn't even find the right video.
Take a listen
Hang
to
on,
Matt
I'm going to
Walsh.
try to find it. I know she responded.
Now, listen, I know I don't have a reputation for being necessarily the kindest or gentlest person in the world, especially when dealing with people like this. The truth, though, is that I am a gentle soul at heart, I think. And also I do feel pity, or I can feel pity for some of these people. And so
I've already watched this. So hang on, guys. I'm trying to find Candace's response video. I pulled up the wrong one. I apologize. But we'll watch this too, and then I'll try to find Candace's response video. But I'm not watching this shit again. There we go.
You will still be a man.
That is so perfect. I needed to play in its entirety. And I also think that if you're listening to this and you just listen to that, you need to share it. That should have tens of millions of views. And it needs to be heard
Sorry,
worldwide.
I pulled up the wrong video.
Because
We'll watch the response.
he is responding in a powerful way, and he is telling the truth. And when the truth is being told in times of tremendous
I just want to do a quick time check. I want to let people know in my community, I'm going to be starting the community Zoom, but it's going to be a couple minutes late because the stream is running long. I want to watch this response. I want to watch Candace's response, the actual response she had to Dylan, because I thought this was the right one and it wasn't my fault. But we will probably be starting about 15 minutes late in the community. I will send a message and let everyone know.
seat. And the only thing that we have to do is to share it so it gets heard more, then we need to do that. And as I said, there was a strange backlash to him saying that. People said, oh, I know, conservatives, oh, I know that like the transgenderism is wrong and stuff, but there's a way to talk about it and be nicer. Be nicer to Dylan Mulvaney. Yeah, I'm glad that you sit from a position of privilege where somebody who's openly mocking you every single day, Dylan Mulvaney, is being a mean person. It is a mean thing to wear woman face. It is a mean thing to pretend.
What the fuck is she talking about? Dylan Mulvaney just living her life and making videos that make her happy is mean to Candace Owens. Candace, again, I have to remind you, quite literally, no one is forcing you to watch these videos, Candace. Yeah, that was the ironclad law of woke projection right there from Candace. If you keep asking this question, which has already been answered, I'm going to block you. No one is going to answer that question. If you keep spamming my chat with the same question over and over and over again that no one is going to answer, I'm going to remove you from it.
That all a woman is makeup and heels and menstruation. It's a mean thing to do all of those things. And yet Dylan Mulvaney does it day in and day out, and conservatives don't respond to it. Some of them don't respond to it because I think we need to be nicer. We don't need to be nicer. In fact, I don't think Matt Walsh went far enough. That's where I stand on it. If you were offended by that, then you are the reason that conservatives are losing. You are the reason that within class.
No, bitch. No. Candace, people like you are the reason that conservatives are losing. People like you are the reason that conservatives will continue to lose every close election for the rest of your life. And I will love to see it. To say that not being mean enough is really the reason that conservatives are losing, that is the most batshit insane thing I have ever heard in my life. People do not vote for assholes. These people think that because Trump won one election, that they can just be raging assholes and win every election for the rest of their lives. How did that go in the midterms? Someone remind me, how did the midterms go for them? Oh, but we're going to double down and continue to be assholes and expect that's going to win us elections. Sure, Candace, best of luck to you. I'm going to love watching you lose. Oh, shit, that was I played the wrong thing. Hang on, there we go.
Classrooms, we are having to make sure that our children aren't being taught absurd things like they can pick their gender, like that our children are not being victimized by the Department of Education. If you are offended by Matt Walsh telling the truth, I want you to know that you are the reason that we continue to lose. And he is correct. Matt Walsh is correct. You should get out of our...
The Daily Wire and Candace Owens and Matt Walsh want you to lose every election for the rest of your lives. Because guess what, guys? The Daily Wire and Matt Walsh and Candace Owens make a lot more money when they are controlled opposition. I want everyone conservative to hear this right now. These people want you to lose elections because they make more money when you lose elections. They make more money. They have a vested interest in you continuing to lose elections. If you listen to them and take their horrible advice, it will result in you losing more elections.
Way. Okay, we don't need people sitting there, fence sitters sitting there going, oh, well, I know I can see the feelings on this side, so I'm going to ignore the truth on the right side. You're completely useless. Just get out of the way. Because some of us, as Matt Walsh has 6 of them, some of us have children, some of us have a family, and some of us understand the evil that we are fighting day in and day out, and we're serious about winning against those evils.
No, they're not.
And that's all I want to say about that. Thank you, Matt Walsh. All right, guys, the next...
They are the least serious people about winning that I've ever seen in my entire life. But we're going a little fast, guys. We're doing rapid fire because I queued up the wrong video earlier. That was my fault. This is Candace Owens' actual response to Dylan Mulvaney. It is about 11 minutes long. We're going to watch it. I put a note in my community that we're going to be about 15 minutes late with the start of the community call today. I apologize, guys, but I really want to see this response. All right, let's get started. Don't fucking tell me how to run my chat. Don't. God damn it. Whiny conservatives every
of gentle
goddamn
parenting,
time.
not disciplining your children, not wanting them to hear the word no or feel not accepted. I think it's very bad. I think that ultimately it produces a bad adult, a narcissistic adult, a selfish adult. I'm sure there are some exceptions. It's also a reason that I have an inclination that children that are pushed into acting when they are too young turn out to be rotten adults. Now, we have an entire catalog of examples of that. Disney kids, people that were forced into acting, their parents constantly telling them that they were amazing, that they were going to be great. I think it fosters something inside of their minds when you are a child and you are on the pursuit of fame and attention. And again, I'm generalizing here. There are some outstanding citizens, of course, and people that grew up to be exceptional, and that is due to great parenting.
Jenna Fire, you're so
But I would say,
diplomatic.
as a rule, I believe that it fosters something within them
Jenna
that they
Fire is the
constantly want
diplomatic half of
attention,
me.
constantly. And I've seen this example, by the way, even in kids that take drama class really, really seriously. They tend to be emotionally all over the place, of course, because they're having to devote so much emotion into their characters. And I'm not sure that we've yet considered as a society how that impacts their brain and their brain development. And
is Candace, do you guys want me to refer to the tweet I sent earlier where I said conservatives are actively repressing creativity in their kids? And now, as though it was magic, we quite literally have a conservative commentator who's saying, I don't know if kids should be actors. Being in drama isn't good for kids. Being creative isn't good for kids. It's just too emotional on their brain. Candace Owens is quite literally here telling you to repress your kids' creativity. I just don't know if drama classes are good for teenagers. Are you kidding me, Candace? You want to cancel drama now? Do you want to cancel all acting? Would we like to prevent all kids from acting in all shows ever?
so I will sometimes describe people as giving me child actor vibes, right? I'm just like, this person gives child actor vibes, like person that got a lot of attention from mommy and daddy, told they were great for way too long and need attention. And one such example of this is Dylan Mulvaney. Obviously, Dylan Mulvaney recently decided that he is a girl. He, of course, is not a girl. He's a 26-year-old man. I don't even want to call him a male. He's a 26-year-old male, is what I should say. He's not a man either. He's not a man. He's not a girl. He's not a woman. He is a very lost male. And Dylan Mulvaney gives me child actor vibes. And recently, he celebrated his 365th day of being a girl, not being a girl, by putting on a live variety show at the Rockefeller Center's Rainbow Room. So it's all about me, how amazing. This is my quinceañera. I have been a girl for 365 days. And what better way to express the challenges of being a girl than being the center of attention, singing a song and commenting on showing how the Daily Wire hosts have covered this absurdity.
How dare she
and have
sing a song?
covered this disgrace of somebody
she?
that is essentially treating womanhood or even girlhood as a caricature. So here is Dylan Mulvaney showing people that are telling him how amazing he is, how awful the Daily Wire hosts are. Take a listen.
I'm just going to fast forward through this, guys, because we've already seen it. So we don't need to watch this again. We're only going to watch Candace's commentary on it. Okay, hang on. There we go.
So there you have it. Dylan is performing. Dylan has been performing since the very beginning of his
Dylan
life.
is an actor.
Dylan likes attention. And by the way,
Dylan's an
you were
actor.
seeing him singing. It gets much worse. We can only show you a little bit. He fake cries. He tries to produce tears, pretending that he's actually upset about anything that we've said. It doesn't hurt me. What more proof do you need that Dylan Mulvaney is a bad actor? What more proof do you need?
Well, Dylan Mulvaney is actually making quite a living acting right now, Candace. And so some might say Dylan Mulvaney, who has millions and millions and millions more followers and more fans than you do and is making a metric F ton of money by making videos on the internet, some might say that Dylan Mulvaney is a very successful actor based on objective standards that you claim to care about. The proof is in the pudding, Candace. Dylan Mulvaney, do you know why Candace Owens is really on a bend about this? Not just because she got called out. Dylan Mulvaney has at least 5 times the followers that Candace Owens does, possibly more. But that's why Candace is upset, because Candace Owens is a narcissist who wants to be the center of attention at all times, and therefore no one else can have a bigger platform than Candace. No one else can have more fans than Candace does. Well, Dylan Mulvaney does have more fans than Candace. Not by a little bit. Dylan Mulvaney's platform dwarfs Candace Owens' platform. Like, it's not even close.
Him dressing up, playing things that we are saying, hearing not constructive criticism, but the truth, right? People that lie to you do not love you. They don't love you, right? They are just giving you the attention, and selfishly, they're allowing you to harm yourself and to make a fool of yourself, right? We sound so rational. Me, Matt Walsh,
No,
Brett,
you don't. You sound
Michael,
like
he
hateful
also
assholes.
shows. We sound so rational
You
in our
sound like
criticisms.
hateful
Obviously,
assholes.
Dylan Mulvaney is not a little girl. If we lived in a sane society, we would all say it's not normal for somebody that is supposed to be a grown man to have a fetish, because this is what this is. You're watching a fetish play out in real time about being a little girl. That's not normal. That is something that should scare us. That is something that if you see, you should not want around your young children. If my little girl was around a man that wanted to play dress up in little girl clothing, I would pull her away from him. I would probably call the police. This is in a sane society, we would say, this is something that we cannot have.
Do you see groomers everywhere, Candace? Do you see groomers everywhere? Is every LGBTQ person ever a groomer? Is every trans person ever a groomer? These people are obsessed. They're obsessed, and they're becoming unhinged and deranged, and they are making an unhinged, deranged audience, and it is making all of us look crazy.
This would be a sign, right? People tell you that there's something wrong with them. You should listen to them, but no, things are upside down. Instead, we award it. We give it the rainbow room. We allow it to sing on a step about how we can't really hurt him.
She called Dylan Mulvaney it. Did you hear that? She called Dylan Mulvaney an it. We reward it. We give it the rainbow room. The rainbow room can be rented, folks. If the Daily Wire wanted to rent the rainbow room, I promise you, they would take the Daily Wire's money and they would rent them the room. It can be rented. This is not theoretical.
By telling him the truth, by telling him that he's actually hurting women and he's actually hurting himself. This is the Daily Wire host, by the way, being compassionate.
No.
By calling out this farce and allowing you to transform your life.
Yes, Candace, you are so loving and compassionate. You definitely aren't just being an evil cunt when you do this stuff. You are filled with loving compassion.
What this is, Dylan. This is you. You have been on a wild pursuit from the time that your mom had you tap dancing and singing to Broadway musicals and telling you you were amazing. This has been your wild pursuit for fame. You finally got it. You guys curious about Dylan's timeline? Here it is. He, of course, attended college musical theater. His entire childhood consisted of the performing arts. His mother had him in dance. He was singing. His first significant role that he played was Elder White in the musical The Book of Mormon, following his graduation from college. Other roles included How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the play, Next to Normal, Legally Blonde, Spring Awakening, Bye Bye Birdie, and High School Musical. Prior to his TikToks about becoming a woman, he was very openly and proudly a gay man. Always talking about.
Dylan was actually non-binary for a while. Candace isn't going to talk about that, but that's the truth. Dylan was non-binary for a while.
His life as a gay man. But guess what? Those videos only garnered him thousands of likes. This wasn't enough for Dylan. Dylan likes attention. He's always had it his entire life. Mom says he's amazing. He's going to be a star. He wasn't a star enough. So what did Dylan do? Well, he switched up. He did something more extreme. He did something more depraved, something that the internet would have to pay attention to.
Okay, depraved.
And when the pandemic hit, according to him,
Yes. Do you know what I found particularly depraved about Dylan's videos, Candace? That time that Dylan went and bought a Gucci purse, that was so depraved. I just didn't know how I was going to handle that. Or the time that Dylan was skipping through the park wearing heels, I just felt like that was just absolute depravity. And I just don't know how we exist in the same world as those types of monsters. Or that time that Dylan went to a spa, that was so depraved and degenerate behavior. Are you fucking shitting me?
Quote, doing the Broadway musical The Book of Mormon, I found myself jobless and without the creative means to do what I loved. I downloaded TikTok assuming it was a kids app. Once I came out as a woman, I made this day one of being a girl comedic video and it blew up. Oh, let's hear those words again. He made the day one of being a girl comedic video. This is according to his own words.
Obviously a comedic
mocking
video.
women. It was meant to be funny, meant to make you laugh.
Oh my God, Candace is so outraged. He made a video that was meant to be comedy. Candace, no shit. No shit. It is meant to be satire. Anyone with a working fucking brain knows that what Dylan Mulvaney is doing in these videos is satire, Candace. Everyone knows that. It is a zhuzhed up version of who Dylan is. It is a performance. It is theater. And Candace Owens is basically seething and spitting. She's so mad. How dare he make a comedy video about women? Are we not allowed to have comedy about women anymore? Candace, are you going to try to cancel Legally Blonde now? How many Legally Blonde movies do we need to cancel? Do we need to cancel all of the Legally Blonde movies? I mean, I know the last two were nothing to write home about. Are we canceling the first one too, which was obviously making fun of women? Are we canceling every comedy movie in history that is obviously making fun of women? Or is it just Dylan Mulvaney that you're going to seethe, Candace, over?
But guess what happened? It blew up. So he went further into this insanity.
Oh, Dylan found a way to be successful. And then Dylan kept making videos that were going to make him successful. Yeah, exactly. We got to cancel Mean Girls now. When are we going to cancel Mean Girls, Candace?
It blew up. And
God
he then
forbid.
decided, I'm going to take on this persona full time.
So
I'm
what?
going to be a girl. He was then
So
swiftly
what?
handed awards. Branded himself. No, he had a coming out party. He had a gender reveal where he says that he is now them, they, their, Z's, or whatever it is. He had a gender reveal because he realized, wait a second, I never expected this to work. I never expected me wearing girl face would work and would give me millions and millions of views. I never expected that I would be invited to a Vanity Fair, an Oscars party dressed.
Oh my God, an actor found a successful way to put on a performance that people enjoy? How? Apparently, Candace wants to cancel every movie star now. Candace wants to cancel every TV show that people enjoy. Because actors in the land of Candace Owens are not allowed to make a living as an actor. He is an actor. This is it is mine. Look at her. It is truly mind-boggling to me that these people are pretending to not understand that a professional trained actor is doing a series of videos, a series like a TV series that is performance art, that is based on the arc of their life, but is a zhuzhed up extra effing version of their life that is satire. These people are morons. Candace, are we going to cancel all satire now? Are you going to go back and cancel all the archives of Andy Kaufman? Candace, did you know? Did you guys remember Andy Kaufman used to wrestle women back in the day? Does anyone remember this? Because I fucking love Andy Kaufman. I was living for that. Andy Kaufman, a satirical comedian, actually wrestled women as a professional wrestler, would beat up women in the ring. Are we going to cancel that now, Candace? Because to me, actually beating up real women in the ring, which is what Andy Kaufman quite literally did in his satirical stunt, that's actually more offensive if we're looking at things objectively than Dylan Mulvaney talking about shoes and purses and clothes. Are we going to cancel all Andy Kaufman satire now? Where does it end? Are we canceling all comedy? Are actors even allowed to my Surrey went off. I was yelling so bad. Are actors even allowed to act anymore, Candace? Should actors get paid for the work that they're doing, or should they be required to donate all of their time to placate your fragile sensibilities because you're pissed off that a TikTok star is successful making videos that you are not required to watch? Let's wrap up.
All I had to do was say I was a girl. Well, let me lean further into this caricature, and that is exactly what Dylan Mulvaney has done. He is doing this because he is getting attention. He likes the attention that he is getting. He should be receiving condemnation.
Oh, an actor who likes attention? Oh my word, an actor likes attention? Imagine my shock.
On a sane platform like Daily Wire, he receives that condemnation because this is no way to find success. By mocking women and by hurting women and by pretending that women do not exist. So that's what he's doing, right? That's what he's doing. He's pretending that it's just you snap your fingers. And so I'm exactly what Candace Owens is. I'm exactly what Brett Cooper is. No, you're not. No, you will never be. Shame on having that have happened on TikTok and the White House then giving him a call and allowing him to interview President Biden, because again, we are a culture that celebrates depravity. Shame on CAA for signing him. Again, another award. You are amazing. You are great. Yes, I am. What else can I get?
Candace is obviously having some feelings about the fact that CAA wouldn't sign her. Why are you bringing up his talent agent? Sorry, her talent agent. Effed up with the pronouns again. You guys know I do that all the time. I don't mean it. It is an accident. Why is Candace Owens bringing up the fact that Dylan has like an agent, which, by the way, most successful entertainers do. All successful entertainers do. They all have agents, and CAA happens to be, well, a pretty prestigious agency. And Candace seems a little bit miffed that Dylan got signed by CAA. Most people don't know what CAA is. Why might Candace be bringing that up? Could it be because CAA didn't want to sign her? Huh. It's like the ironclad law of woke projection.
Leaning into these stereotypes of what it means to be a woman. Shame on the doctors that performed the facial feminization surgery, which he had in 2022. Shame.
Oh, are we, Candace, are we banning all plastic surgery now? Are we banning all plastic surgery for adults who choose to have plastic surgery? Or is it just for adults who are transitioning that choose to have facial feminization surgery? Is it just that elective plastic surgery? Because really, if we're going to be consistent in how we're applying our principles, shouldn't we then be banning all plastic surgery that everyone decides to do as an adult if we're going to be consistent?
Shame on the Grammys for inviting him to walk the red carpet. Shame on every single person and institution that is taking place in this farce. It is causing real world harm.
How?
But again,
how?
What do we know? We just don't celebrate depravity here. So I'm going to move on from Dylan Mulvaney because that's all I truly hope that I have to say about him.
She's going to be making another video about Dylan Mulvaney within a week, if not sooner, as will Matt Walsh. They all make videos about Dylan Mulvaney all the time because they are obsessed, because they are unhinged and deranged with this entire situation. But guys, that is all the time I have. I do apologize for running a little bit late for my locals community. I will be starting up the community Zoom in just a few minutes. Keep an eye out on your inboxes. I will be sending out the link. Guys, thank you for spending some time listening to me rant today. And, all of the haters in the chat can go have whatever feelings you want somewhere else. I will be back tomorrow with something else. I'm not quite sure what yet, but I will announce that tomorrow. Guys, please take care. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.